Grab your crew and join us for a Michelob Ultra Wolves watch party January 13th at Wildcats in Eagan. Catch the action with KFAN's Max Fuller from 7 to 9 p.m. Trivia, prizes, and specials. Get the details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 pastime comedies tend to be joined now by the legendary Mark Rosen, formerly of Channel 4 Sports is your whole life just sports fame. And I just had a very bittersweet encounter.
What's that?
Out in the hallway as I was going to use the gentleman's room. My good friend, engineer Jerry Wells here at the Fan, who does all of the Vikings. You know, he's at the Vikings games. He had several steamer trunk. I know there's equipment in there. I go, well, you got a lot of equipment there, and he goes, yep, just coming back from the stadium. So
turning it all down.
It's bittersweet. It's because instead of like, hey,
like cleaning out your locker.
Yeah, it's like cleaning out your locker. It's like, you know what, we were hoping it would still be there because we had a home game coming up here in the first round of the play. Tennessee thought we were going to win the big game this year. He thought it would be Kansas City and the Vikings in the big game.
You're on your own after that.
I thought it would be the Falcons and the Vikings in the NFC Championship. I didn't go as far as to predict a Super Bowl.
Right.
But I did, and here we are, and the season has come to a conclusion. And I don't want to dive too deep into the Vikings today, other than to say, if there is a schism with Flores, that just adds on top of all the other things, trying to settle on a quarterback and getting a backup and, deciding on a number of players. The one example I'll use will be Hawkinson. He's due $21 million. There's no way they're going to pay him $21 million. And then you got to go into, what kind of a pay cut will you take? And you got salary cap. And this is where you really, I know it's always the results on the field, but this is where you set everything up because you got the draft coming up and free agency. Who do you keep? Who doesn't want to stay anymore? There's a lot, and some teams have more work than others. And it seems this year, to me, and maybe you disagree, there's more work for the Vikings than there was last year. Last year, we thought interior, offensive line, interior, the defense. We signed 4 guys. We liked them. And then we were going forward with the quarterback. We come to find out now that they really thought Danny Dimes was going to stay. And he left, and that kind of threw him for a loop as far as the backup. That left him scrambling to find somebody. But it just seems to me like there's more to do this year to get the team back on track than there was going into last year.
Well, the good news about not extending your season into the postseason is that you get a head start on all that stuff. So they started meeting Monday. When I say they, I mean ownership remained in town. As I mentioned yesterday, Ziggy and Mark were here. And obviously the Brain Trust. They're not doing a deep dive necessarily already here, crossing this off and putting our draft board together. It has nothing to do with that. But there are decisions to be made, and I think first and foremost, probably the most important one, and we'll hear tomorrow when KOC and Kwesi speak to the media.
Oh, what time are they doing that?
I don't know. Ms. Tenna has an idea. I don't know what time.
I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, I don't either. I know they're doing it tomorrow. So, I think some of the, this just in, they're both very good at deflecting the kind of answers that you'd want to some of the questions that you would be asking. And I'm sure a lot of it will be about Flores. I mean, I personally, from my sources, say that Flores will only leave if it's a head coaching job. I don't think he's going to I don't think he's going to go to Dallas.
Okay.
As a defensive coordinator, unless they offer. Jerry Jones opens his bank account to the point of paying him more than as much as Dak Prescott's making.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, I don't see him leaving for another defensive coordinator's job. And we all know that there's 7, 8 jobs open right now. And since John Harbaugh got fired yesterday, apparently he's at the top of everyone's list. I saw a shot of Kevin Stefanski on his way to New Jersey to go have dinner with the Giants last night. And, this is what goes on all the time. And, the teams that are out there. But I think the Vikings, first and foremost, they want to know what's going on with Flores. I think more than the player thing can wait a little bit. It's only January. And they got time, but Flores doesn't as much. So I think they want to get that settled. And I think in a perfect world, they'd love to come out tomorrow and say, hey, he's locked up. We got him locked up for next how many years, 3 years or whatever, with another contract. That would be ideal, but, we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Otherwise, like I said, otherwise it'll drag on for a little while. I mean, teams are going to be in a hurry, and especially with the Harbaugh situation, and that really does mix everything up, I think, in the blender for all the teams. Not just the teams that are looking for a head coach, but they might be going, wait a minute, I like John Harbaugh better than our current head coach.
Oh, yeah, right.
I might go a different direction here. 18 years in the league, his resume kind of speaks for itself. He had he went Super Bowl, whatever. He's had a lot of failures, but that's welcome to the NFL. Most coaches do. Even the great Andy Reid's faced that. So, I think that's where we're at. But hopefully, we'll get a little more clarity on the Flores situation tomorrow. As far as the player stuff goes, I mean, I don't, whatever Kwesi's going to say and KOC is going to say about the kind of quarterback they're going to go after in free agency or via trade. I don't know if we're going to get a lot of clarity on that. I think there'll be a lot of wordsmanship that we're used to kind of hearing. We want to have is it a situation where they're going to come out and say, we're going to have a competition for the quarterback position next year for number one? I don't think we'll hear that.
No, I don't think so.
No, it'll be, it's JJ's, off season that he didn't have basically, when he had the first year after he got drafted, which I mentioned to you yesterday, I think dearly cost him, and I think that's where the Vikings management made their error. They assumed he was going to be able to pick up the slack and go, and he just was so far behind the curve that we saw what happened this year. Now, next year is a whole different story. It's I would say it's a make or break, but pretty close to it.
Back to the Harbaugh thing. I want to ask both of you guys. Mm-hmm. For something, and it's maybe I'm making this up, and I've confused different situations. But wasn't there a head coach, I don't know if it was in basketball, the NBA, or the NFL, where they were let go and they took a year off?
Yeah.
And they just stepped away and said, I'm taking a year off. Somebody did that, a big name, and I just can't remember who it is. Maybe somebody else can jog our memories. And I'm wondering if Harbaugh would be a guy that would do that. But, he might want to get back to it right away. I don't know, but you never know if he's a guy that goes, maybe, Sean Payton, remember, he went to the booth for a while, then he came back.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Belichick took a year off, but I think that's because he wasn't wanted.
Yeah,
right.
That might be the case.
But it wasn't that the case? Didn't Sean Payton take a year off and go in the booth? He went in the booth for a while, and then he came in. I don't know if he was just and I don't know if he was just doing that for a year, or if he just, because when he was on the panel show, for I think it was CBS or maybe it was Fox. Remember, he wasn't very good.
No, he wasn't very good at it.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be very good at it. Maybe, again, just starting, maybe they'd have given him more time. But I wonder if Harbaugh's a guy, I would think he wants to come, but maybe he goes, I'll let it sit for a while and wait and see.
Well, he'd have that opportunity if he wants the pick of the litter, if he doesn't like what the jobs are that are out there. But again, there's speculation, even that, how ironic would it be? Let's just say, you know what? I want to stick it to Baltimore. I'm going to go become the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. You know what I mean? I got an opportunity. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. He's getting ready for another playoff game, and he seems to be energized by year in, year out. He's what the Steelers do better than any team is they keep head coaches. I don't see Harbaugh doing that. I understand that could be the thinking, but I think there's so many jobs available, and he could, with his agent, kind of the pick of the litter. That's at least for the teams that are out there. And like I said, it could be another team that going, I like this guy better than our guy, but he could try to stay in the division. Cleveland's an opportunity. They've always been a mess, but he may be going, I want the challenge. I think I can get this thing righted, and I can make it work, but who knows? Someone
said, didn't Zim take a year off? Zim did. After he was fired from here, he sat out for a year, and then he went back to defensive coach.
But he didn't. Not a head coaching job.
No, but he took time off.
There are guys who've done that. You're getting paid.
He was still making head coach money. Yeah,
right. Yeah, but sometimes guys just want to take a step away for whatever reason. It's financial. Just get away.
It's a grind.
It is. Especially those
well-compensated grind, but it's a grind.
And as we know, these guys sleep in the office, and they're just there. And I guess that's what you got to do to stay ahead of the game. Is you got to eat, breathe, sleep.
Unless you're Signetti of Indiana, he says, I get these guys out of here right away. He's got a pretty strong philosophy about that with his coaches. Do your work.
Speaking of college football, we'll get to the Gopher basketball team was really good last night. But before we get to that, on the college football scene, I'm an Ole Miss guy now.
Why?
Well, because their coach, Kiffin left, and Ole Miss hasn't had any. I don't think they've ever won a national championship. But if they did, it was a long time ago that I don't remember. And but I saw a story where the thing with Kiffin, with these college coaches have it made.
Yeah,
every time they win in postseason, he gets another $500,000 bonus. He still gets the bonus even though he's not there.
It's truly
so he's making
scam in the world.
He's making, as if he doesn't have enough money. It's a great gig. Look, it's great negotiating on him and his agent's part, but he's making money. Also, I read that he wanted to be a part. He wanted to at least make an appearance, like in the booth or on the panel show, the Ole Miss game, and all the whole Ole Miss school said, "We don't want anything to do with you." They didn't want him to. So he got shot down on that. So none of the TV, whoever was doing, I don't remember. I watched the game down in when I was in Palm Springs, but baby brother Peter's just devastated. We watched Ohio State lose, and
I bet it was tough.
Yeah, that was a
shocker. I was surprised about that.
It was, and I tell you, they got beat by Miami, right? That Miami club.
They got a hell of a defense.
That's a really good defense.
Really good defense. They have pro-style defense.
Well, they have, I think, a couple of guys that they think are going to go in the top the first round of the draft.
Sure.
The Bain guy won the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know if he's like that every game. He must be because he won the Conference Player of the Year, but that guy's all over the place. He would look good on any NFL team.
Yeah, he would. He will be. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pros out there that are going to be playing in the semifinals at the end of the week. It's quite a football weekend with the 2 semifinal games, and then obviously wild card weekend on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So you're full of football.
200% Finlander guy says that Tibbs took a year off. And I think that is true.
Yeah, I kept thinking
Tibbs,
NFL.
Tibbs took a day off. Somebody else
had to take a year off.
Somebody else said Mike McCarthy took a year off between the Pack and the Cowboys. He toured teams for a year learning. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. He was learning all the different teams and seeing how they did. A lot of good that did him. But there you go.
There's a handful of coaches.
There are some guys that, and if you are a Harbaugh, like you say, he's highly regarded, very successful. Postseason hasn't been as successful lately as it was in the past, but he could almost name his job. So what's wrong with saying, I'm going to take a year off and just kind of get away from football for a while, recharge the batteries? I don't know. I have no idea. It wouldn't surprise me if he did, just to say, because he knows he can come back next year.
I saw it firsthand with Bud Grant. 1983 was his last year. He was done. He got the bass boat. They gave it to him, and then they named Les Steckel the head coach for 84. That turned out to be a mitigated disaster. Yeah. They brought Bud back, but he didn't have to give the bass boat back. Kept that. He took him all those prizes. Came back for one more year.
And then he sold it at the garage sale.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what he did. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to get to here on the Common Man program with Common Tenenby and Mark Rosen here on The Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tenenby. Mark Rosen here as well. I think a lot of college basketball fans have been waiting for a reason to go back to the barn, right? I mean, it's been a lot of years. We've had our moments. The club, ever since the 1997, which we're supposed to forget ever happened with the the Gangelhoff and the academic scandal. But that year was as much fun as I've had watching basketball ever. I mean, college basketball, they got to the Final Four before they got eliminated. And, since then, there have been some successful seasons, but never anything that's been like that. And not to suggest what happened last night is leading toward a Final Four appearance, but new coach comes in, Nico Medved, fired up, has a nice track record, won wherever. Almost like, who was the guy that coached? He's now the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Or was. Remember, he coached Butler College? What the hell's his name?
Brad? Something?
Brad, I can't remember names.
I don't know. Why am I not thinking of his last name?
But it seems sort of like that where,
little haircut that
he had success everywhere he went. Then he goes there and he goes to Butler and he puts
Brad Stevens.
Yeah. Then he puts Butler on the map out of nowhere. Right. And then he moves on to the pros. And Medved, everywhere he's sort of like Fleck. Everywhere Fleck had been, everywhere Fleck had coached, he'd always had successful teams. Hasn't been quite as successful here. But now you take over for a team that, they were as close to rock bottom as you can get. Now they last night they beat Iowa, ranked team. That's their second win over a ranked team.
Right.
Programs sell hope, and they're selling hope right now.
And they're doing it with basically 6 players. They lost two of their starters before the season started. So they're kind of going with the iron 5 and, +1 or maybe +2.
Yeah, I think they're doing like 7.
The 7 guys kind of played, but I watched pretty much the entire game last night, and there was a lot of ups and downs. But I said this even before in a game I think the Gophers may have lost. I thought when I'm watching Niko Medved's team play, there's a flow to their offense that we hadn't seen for quite a while. I mean, they look like they know there's a plan, and they're executing it. And then they don't really have any big superstars. They got a lot of really good players. And last night, I think of the Iowa basketball team like the football team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't really have a superstar, but they just kind of make it really difficult to beat them. And Iowa was the best in the Big Ten at generating turnovers. The Gophers only had 10 last night, which is really saying something. The Gophers they missed some free throws at the end, which made it even, I don't know if you saw the end of the game, dramatic, because Iowa had a chance with a 3-point shot to tie it and send it to
and
overtime.
They took 3 shots and missed them all.
Oh, my God. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I'm kind of yelling, foul the guy, but they never got to the point, because if we were to foul him, then probably was outside the arc and probably had 3 shots. But they were kind of collapsing inside, so these guys, they had some pretty good looks to potentially tie the game. And their big star, Sturts, I think his name is, he had 21, but 2 for 10 from 3 is pretty unusual for him, and he didn't have a good game, and the Gopher fans were into it, and at Williams Arena kind of came alive. So they got USC coming in here on Friday night, and Eric Musselman is the head coach, I believe.
Chip wrote the game for Fish Wrap Factory West Side last night, and he writes, Medved's rotation has dwindled to 7 players. All 5 starters played 30 minutes.
Yeah, they
After
love it.
3 of them logged the full 40 into victory at Northwestern on Saturday. Mm-hmm. They don't complain or mope or accept the convenient excuse. They just dig deep and keep battling. Tyson said, if we could play 40 minutes, we'd love to. And they don't have an alternative right now, and that's what the coach said. We don't have any alternatives, and that is the one thing about youthful exuberance.
Yeah.
It's a little more difficult to pull that off in the NBA, but when you're talking about these college kids, and they have certainly bought into what they're doing. Chip also brings up, you're talking about the movement of the golf, of the golf ball, the movement of the basketball.
Right.
He writes here about a stat in that game about assists on baskets. It says, fans of basketball should love this team. They compete incredibly hard and play the right way. The Gophers lead the nation in assist percentage, 75.9, meaning no team makes a higher percentage of shots off assists. They had 15 assists on their 22 made baskets against the Hawkeyes. Statistics can be misleading sometimes, but this one isn't. It supports the eye test. The Gophers pass and cut and move without the ball.
Yeah, they sure do.
They look for open teammates and make the extra pass. Everyone touches the ball and is involved in making the motion offense function effectively. And I think they used to call that the Princeton offense.
The motion offense that Princeton did for years and years and years. And we'd see them play in the NCAA tournament, and the score would be 50-45 or something, and they had it down to a science. But I think more than anything, no matter what happens this season with Niko Medved, and I don't know what kind of recruiting, we go through this all the time, of course, with NIL and everything that's going on. But in basketball, it's not like football where you need maybe 5 or 6 guys to really help turn a program around, or if not more. Basketball, you get 1 or 2 that can help really turn a team around in a hurry. And I would think that this pipeline and the way that things are going right now with Minnesota, that he be in a pretty good position to lock down some pretty good players to come here because of his style of play and the fact that all those guys on the team right now, I think most of them are coming back and go, you're going to get your playing time. We're playing 40 minutes a night. We're not sitting on the bench. If you like to play, the water's warm. Come on to Minnesota. So, I mean, they're not going to, maybe they will make the tournament, the NCAA tournament. But even if they don't, I'm saying they've turned the page. They've made it worth going to the barn again for men's basketball. And I think that's
for the moment. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah, well,
that's the problem.
Of
because,
course.
This youthful exuberance in playing 7 is great.
Get worn out,
but when you get deep into the Big Ten schedule, as physical it is, and you're playing twice a week, you're doing the Tuesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday, and you're playing, How many Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 25? I bet there's got to be, 6,
well,
7.
Michigan's one. I think you got to
They're
really
number 2,
watch.
I'm not even talking about. Yeah, you have to watch them. I'm just talking about you're playing quality clubs that are ranked and they're physical. That's a physical conference, and you can get worn down in a real hurry. But yeah, right now the signs are good. It's awful nice for a first year head coach to do the things he's doing. It's
weird that they got a 3-game homestand. They got, as I mentioned, USC here on Friday night. Eric Musselman's team, and they had just lost to Michigan and Michigan State, and so we'll see how they react to the game. It's at a 7:30 game on Friday night. So good for the Gophers and Nico Medved. It was a fun game to watch. I was watching the Wolves a little bit, but they were blowing out. They played last night.
They played Miami.
Miami, yeah, that was their second meeting, and
all they're doing is they're starting to gel and they're stacking wins. And you doubted this team.
Yeah, right. Okay, Rudy Gobert is. I mean, Rudy Gobert's having a career year right now for the things he's doing for that basketball team, and that's his rebounding. Obviously, he can score when he can get the opportunity 2 feet away, but his defense and rebounding has been elite in the league right now.
Speaking of the U, Fleck and in the program have been busy. They've been getting guys in the portal.
I saw that.
And they're getting guys, I don't know how good they are, but they are getting players from Michigan State. They're getting teams from some big name programs, Helma schools, and I don't know what if the money's too good, if they get more playing time, if they're unhappy where they are. But I also look like going to lose Coy Parrish. I think he's probably gone. Now, his career, his season this year wasn't as good as his first season, but that's the thing. You get some guys in the portal, but you lose some too, and that's a pretty big.
Well,
hit.
and I think that one, on the surface hurt because I was talking to Guardsy yesterday, and I was walking in to do the show with you. I said, "Hey, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about Coy Parrish." He goes, "Grayson, I think his oldest, was just devastated." I mean, it's like when you have a kid that age and he's got the jersey at home,
sure,
and you hear that he goes, "Well, Coy's going to the portal, right?" And now these kids that age,
I got the jersey too.
They know exactly what they're talking about. No, but that one hurts because he's the Minnesota kid who stayed here and he had a great first year. Last year, not so good, but. Still a high energy kind of guy that you'd love to see stay with the program.
Well, what happens when you're that good? He was second team All-American last year, whatever he was. You get to be that good, and nil money is starting to be offered to you. And then a guy like that, I'm assuming, is thinking about playing on Sundays. And so when you're thinking that, you just think, my college career, I don't know how much longer it's going to be, and I'd like to. I'm watching the national championship tournament, and I'd like to be a part of that. And let's face it, I don't think it's happening with the Gophers anytime soon. So it's hard to blame kids. I know fans get annoyed and say, "Oh, turn your back on the program now, huh?" But every kid's in it for himself. And if you're a really good player, you want to play on Sundays and you're going, but you also want to take advantage of what college days you have left, and you want to play. You want to play in the Rose Bowl. You want to be in the semifinals. It ain't happening here.
Sure, but at the same time, you're playing a position where Minnesota players have gone to the NFL.
That's true.
Quite a few of them in that secondary, but we'll see. He's got opportunities to weigh right now.
Yeah, my guess is he's gone. But
I would think so.
We'll pause, come back, one more segment to go here on the Common Man program with Common Teneby and Mark Rosen here on the Fan.
It's a wild Wednesday here on KFAN, and we're taking your talkbacks for tickets all day long. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and tell us what impact you think Quinn Hughes has made on the team. Winners will be selected all day for Wild versus Devils tickets on the 12th. Get the details at KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He is. Teneby Mark Rosen here as well. NFL playoffs this week, and they've added, I don't know how many years ago it's been that they've added a Monday nighter. Never used to do that, just Saturday, Sunday, and then they decided they wanted to spread it out because somebody wrote me, texted me, or maybe I read it somewhere in a story. To watch games last week, if you wanted to watch every game,
I know.
You had to have 8 different streaming services because you had a game on Disney and a game on Prime and a game on CBS and
Netflix.
a game on Fox and a Netflix, blah, 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 blah. But the the pairings are set. We know who the buys are. They go to Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos and the Bo Nix kid, who a lot of teams had an opportunity to draft him. He went 12th, right? It was 12th to the Denver Broncos.
So. Right.
As you look at the field, who do you think will represent the AFC and NFC and beyond that? Is there another team that you go might be kind of like, not necessarily their wild card team, but might be a wild card, that might surprise people, might be able to sneak in?
Well, the NFC is really, to me, difficult to handicap. I think Seattle, and they haven't played as well at home overall, but I do think their defense is going to be really tough to top at home. But deep down, I think the one team that could beat them and will beat them, because I think he's the MVP of the league in my mind, is Matthew Stafford. I think the Rams, and I think that their head coach is elite, using PJ's favorite word. So I guess push comes to shove, I think the Rams will get to the Super Bowl.
I think Tennessee believes that too. Did you say that, or am I putting words in your mouth? Did you pick that? Do you think the Rams will get to the big game?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. When I look at it, I still think historically, odds say you need to have a good quarterback play, right? Yeah, and there's a lot of questionable quarterback play, I think, that we haven't seen done it on the stage. Mm-hmm. And you also probably need a good defense. And to me, the Rams have the best combination, I think, of both, with quarterback and a defense that can rush the passer. So I'm taking the Rams to win it.
Yeah,
I'm going with Seattle. I'm going to take the front runner. And I'd like to see. I think that a lot of Viking fans in this town want Sam Darnold to fail, and I don't know why.
I don't either. I don't understand why.
I can sense it. I can hear it. I can feel it. I see it. Because I think it's because we had him, let him go, and we want to make it the right decision. If you're a fan, you don't want to say we blew it. We decided to go with McCarthy, and we could have kept Sam Darnold. So you say, well, we wouldn't have the money to spend this. Well, look what Sam Darnold did against Detroit last year, and this and that. So they want him. So that's part of it. But also, it's what Tennessee said. You have to have good quarterback play and really good defense. I think Seattle's defense, and statistically, I think they are the best defense in the league. At least they've been playing very well as of late. I like their defense, and I think Sam Darnold, he's still going to be reckless. He did it again in the game against the 49ers. What was their last game? Was it game again? Was it who did they just play? I watched the game. Was it 49ers? It was 49ers, right?
They played the Bears 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, so it was the 49ers.
Right.
He made a throw that was not good, and San Francisco had a chance to make it a turnover, and they weren't able to do it, and that could have changed the complexion of the game. Those things are going to happen. I've said this 13, 14 times.
Right.
Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen are not available. So you have to take whatever is left, right? And I like Darnold. And I think Darnold has, with being able to replicate what he did, and again, he's got a really good running game. It's not all Sam Darnold. It's not at all. He's not out there winning games on his arm. He
doesn't have to. No.
But he doesn't have to, and I think he's got more confidence. I think Seattle is going to be. And if I was going to pick a team that would be that, I guess, and it's not even really. It's not even really any team that is in postseason play. You can't dismiss. So I don't really look at the Rams as being an underdog. Both of you guys like them to get to the big game, and I would say that for the reasons you stated. Stafford he's probably. He and Rodgers have seen more than any other quarterbacks that are currently still playing in the playoffs right now. And so, I would say maybe the Rams after that. What do you think of the AFC?
Well, my sleeper team, I'm not saying the prohibitive favorite. It's so wide open. We can make an argument for pretty much any of the teams. I don't see Pittsburgh being able to stop Houston. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in for a long night with that pass rush.
Steelers haven't lost a Monday night game since 1991.
And what would common man be saying about that?
Well, I'm just throwing that out there.
How many of those players on this year's team?
No.
Okay.
Zero. So, Rodgers could have. He's been playing long enough.
That's true. I just think their defense is going to absolutely overwhelm Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh has got enough offense to offset what Houston's defense is going to do, and I think their defense is better than their offense at times. That'd be my sleeper team, but to try to get to the big game, it's so wide open. I think, it's so easy to go, I'll go with the Denver Broncos. I just don't think their offense is good enough to scare anybody in the big game. So, New England is an interesting team to look at. Are they ready for the big time? They've won 14 games and only 3 of them came against playoff teams: Panthers, Bills, and Ravens.
They didn't put their rosters together.
I understand that, but
they didn't put the schedule together. They just play them as they come.
I think they're going to have their hands full with the Chargers, honestly, in that game. So I'll just stick with Houston because I think they're. You need to have obviously good quarterback play. You got to have a lights out defense.
You snipe me because I've been on the Houston bandwagon ever since that old.
Is that right?
Start. Well, because their defense is maybe not statistically. I'm just going about eye test and look. I'm not going to claim I watch a lot of Houston Texans football, but I like to stay up to date on the NFL by reading all of the different pieces from around the league, and it seems to me that Houston and Seattle have the two defenses that to me they seem to be the two best defenses.
And I know Tenna is going to say, and sentimentally, and I think this is the one year if Buffalo, and they got a tough game at Jacksonville. They're 1.5 favorites. They've won, and Jacksonville's won 9 of their last 10. I mean, it's like Buffalo's passing game is not what it was, and talk about a good defense. The Jaguars have a great rush defense to slow them down and. I don't know. I mean, it's like, can Jacksonville come out of the weeds basically and do what they have to do to win that game? I think sentimentally, a lot of folks with Mahomes out of the picture this year are going, God, this has got to be Buffalo's year to finally cash in with Josh Allen and James Cook and that would be a bad team. And I'm rooting for the Bears. I'm not going to lie. Saturday night against the Pack, it's not an anti-Green Bay thing.
I think it's an anti.
No, it's a pro-Chicago thing because I have, again, we got friends that work for the organization, and I like, it's kind of, as I said, a second home. And
go ahead and mention your friend.
No, I don't want to. Too many of them.
No, mention Kevin Warren.
That's true. But it's more about the city, and I know there's an anti-Bear sentiment. I heard Sinekin on this morning when I was driving around. And how people just are, he's so sick and tired of hearing from Bear fans, and all fan bases can be insufferable at times. So let's not center those.
Packer fans are never insufferable.
No, never.
No.
Tell them
it's a gracious fan base.
Sinekin basically said, I don't care if the Packers don't beat anybody else. If they beat the Bears, my season's made.
This text message says, ask Rosen if he wishes Karn would have taken the job at the Bears based on the recent success. You wish, you wish you were in Chicago right now.
I know.
You'd be in the suite with Kevin, and all would be right with the world, and you'd be a Bears fan wearing your navy blue and orange. Don't pretend you wouldn't.
I would be, but
you wish that would have happened. You love Chicago. It's one of your favorite cities.
Yeah, I do. They're going to end up in Indiana, the way it looks, for their future home because the city of Chicago, and they're not going to be able to get a stadium built there. So. They'll be in Northwest Indiana down the road, as they say.
Do the two, the Bears lost their last 2 games. Mm-hmm. The one against the Lions, I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but the Lions again. I don't know. I kept looking at Deuce as we're watching the game. I go, where was this last week and the week before? They look like the team they used to be, at least. They changed things. They were winning. They were up 16-0. Right. Then the Bears, lo and behold, like they've done.
Cardiac kids.
I think I read. I think it's been six come from behind victories in the last 2 minutes of a ball game, and I thought they were going to do it. And you're not going to do it every time, but it does leave you wondering if maybe the old. The glass slipper doesn't fit anymore, and maybe that coach has turned into a pumpkin. Not Ben Johnson, but the coach they're riding in on, because that was. I mean, they end up with Philly losing. It didn't hurt them for the seed, and there's not a lot of difference between second and third, other than if number 1 gets bounced, you've got home advantage throughout the playoffs as long as you keep winning. But that was an opportunity to go in there and just look at a Lions team and just go, let's pound these guys there. If we smack them. If we punch them in the nose right away, they're probably just going to roll over, and they didn't. And the Lions stole, and the Bears still had a chance to win, as we know, but they didn't.
Speaking of the Eagles, are we
Are we just dismissing them? Yeah.
Are we kind of? Are they shocking? The Super Bowl champ? Are they under the radar team? They rested their players last week, so they're hosting a kind of a beaten up 49ers team that they haven't. Their defense is not very good, and I just think that the Eagles are going to win that game at home, and I don't think it's going to be all that close, but. Man, they're still a hard out. You know what I mean? They're tough. They're battle tested, and when they go into Seattle, they play the Rams, whatever after this game. But I think that they're going to be ready for San Francisco and take care of business. They rested everybody of note pretty much last week. So
who?
The Eagles.
Oh, Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. They decided that they didn't care about the seed as much as just giving their players a week off, and that's Sirianni makes that decision. I can't argue with it.
Oh, I wouldn't argue with that.
No,
I mean, I know it's a tough call, but and getting that second seed is, I mean, it can mean a lot, but you got to win them all. And if it means having players healthier, because if the players aren't as healthy and they can't play as maybe someone won't even play without that week off. You're probably not going to get to the second round anyway.
Correct. So. I just think that Philadelphia's, I think, 3.5-point favorites. Are we doing spread swing tomorrow, by the way? Are we doing that?
Yeah, we do a playoff edition.
Are we aware of that? Okay. All right. I just wasn't sure.
Who won the regular season? Did you, Ten or Rosen?
I haven't even looked back at the scores yet, so we'll find that out tomorrow.
Yeah, we didn't have the picks for last week, but that's all right.
And I know why, because everybody didn't want me to win, and I think I was right there.
You were right there.
Let's just, in other words, it was almost like kneeling down.
Plus, you were out of town.
Yeah.
You could have called.
I could.
Those games were all a waste last week anyway, too.
They were
the vast majority of them.
Yeah,
I would have taken the kiddies, and I would have gotten...
Yeah. Well.
Would I have gotten any points? I don't know. I would have got something.
Something. So, yeah, I mean, it's a... how you feel about it. But you're right. Getting back to... And the Packers-Bears game is on Prime on Saturday night, and a lot of people haven't necessarily signed up for it. Now, the only way you can watch it in the local market is if you're in Chicago or Green Bay, because then NFL allows the teams that are playing to have it on over regular broadcast TV for that game. Otherwise, that's here we are. I mean, you mentioned that's the world we live in. You got to, as they say, they used to have kind of a joke: check your local listings.
Yeah.
Man, you really have to check your list. And then pretty much after this week, it rotates, CBS, NBC, ABC, and then ESPN. I mean, the usual suspects that have all the NFL rights.
I was talking about the Gophers and being busy in the portal. Here's another one just today. Gophers land former California defensive end T.J. Bush Jr. out of the transfer portal. I have no idea if he's any good or not. Nobody knows. You scroll down from a couple of days ago. Gophers received transfer commitments from ex-Michigan State cornerbacks Aiden and Elijah. It's brothers, apparently West.
Right,
Their last name is West, so a couple of brothers are coming here. Then there's another one that says, hold on, we're not done yet. Gopher football team adds receiver Perry Thompson, defensive tackle Naquan Crowder in the portal. And if I scroll down further, I'll probably find even more. So they're pumping in a lot of new
money.
Gophers get Tennessee tackle Bennett Warren in the transfer portal.
Right.
So it doesn't seem to end there. Players keep signing. Where these players are, as far as talent wise, I don't know. A lot of them are coming from some big name schools.
Yeah. So Dinkytown Sports, whatever it is, that helps make this happen. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation about Mark Cuban, who, as we all know, have deep pockets, and he's helped Indiana's program out tremendously, and they've already got guys coming to their team next year in the portal. I think to kind of keep this ride going for the Hoosiers after potentially winning the national championship. But yeah, PJ loses a couple, and that's going to happen. Although he's got Darius Taylor coming back, which is great news. Got the quarterback coming back. They've added a couple wide receivers. So as much as the Coy Parrish theoretically, if he does leave, indeed hurts, they could keep adding players, and that's just the nature of how this madness continues and is going to continue.
Did you watch much of the college football playoffs at all?
I did. Yes. Which game I watched the most? It's such a blur right now. I'm anxious to watch. Indiana, Oregon. Then Oregon's running back already announced he's going in the portal. I think I was thinking he's playing in the national semifinals, and like I assume he's playing, but I mean.
Indiana.
Yeah,
who did they play? They destroyed
Alabama.
They just
I loved it.
Alabama.
Loved watching him just run right over Alabama.
I mean, that was a fight. They would have stopped it.
Yeah, it was.
Ohio State lost to Miami. We talked about that. Yeah, I don't. There are people. I think Signetti rubs some people wrong. The Google me thing and all that. I don't. It doesn't. It doesn't bother me. Matter of fact, there are people also that can't root for teams in the NFC North, can't root for teams in the NL Central, can't root for teams in the Big Ten. That stuff I'm not that into it. That bothers me. No. I like the Indiana story. I mean,
it's a great
story. A team that has. I mean, it's never, ever been a football team, football school, ever. You look back at some of these numbers, and I don't have them in front of me, but the last time they did this, 1932 or something, it's like they're doing things that nobody thought this. They were always a basketball school, of course. And so I find it refreshing that a team that has had, and what you kind of, you think, well, if Indiana, we talked about this before. Wisconsin has had moments. Iowa's had, even Northwestern's had moments where I always go, why can't Minnesota? Here's another one. Indiana, what more do they have? Except maybe, I guess they got a deep pocketbook on nil.
They also got a hell of a football coach.
But they have a hell of a football coach, too.
And it does give hope to all the other teams that it's possible. I mean, as Kevin Garnett said, anything's possible. Or is that what he said when he was screaming in the mic? I want Indiana to win. I think it'd be a great story. I mean, and I think they already played Oregon once, and I think they'll end up in the championship game. And man, they're just and I don't know the name of that center. I mean, we were talking about what the Vikings' needs are. I know they gave him, they may have given him, at least I thought, the MVP award for that last game in the Rose Bowl. But he looks right now that he could start on any NFL team, like right now. I mean, he's just that prototypical lineman you'd love to have on your football team, and maybe that'll be a potential fine for the Vikings if he's still around at that point. But not a big name, but those guys at the road grinders, as they call them, road graders, that helped that team out tremendously.
You like this Indiana club, no?
Well, what's not to like? I don't know about the quarterback. Everyone's got him projected at the top.
Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza. I think he's a really good college quarterback. I don't know. I mean, we can say the same thing about J.J. McCarthy. I mean,
that's it.
And that's just, you don't know how it's going to translate to the pros.
He'll get picked.
Oh, of course he'll get picked. But how high will he be?
I don't know. That's another thing I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. If you're looking for a quarterback, that is. It's like, for instance, in reading all the different stories about, sort of the postmortem on the season, what happened in the Vikings quarterback situation with, taking a pass on Darnold. Danny Dimes surprises him and doesn't sign, and it's McCarthy. Right. And then, the Sam Howell guy doesn't pan out. They were also talking about how the Vikings took a pass before the McCarthy draft, where there was 5 guys or 6 guys that went in the top, whatever, that the draft before that wasn't as deep quarterback-wise, so that's why the Vikings, a lot of other teams just said, we'll take a pass here. Mm-hmm. And that's like this year. From what, and unless either of you guys can correct me, I know Tennessee kind of pays attention to this stuff more closely than I do. It seems like this is a weak quarterback class for the comparatively speaking. So it's like, if this is the year you get that number 1 or 2 pick and you're looking for a franchise quarterback, you're going, well, do we take, let's use Mendoza as an example. I don't know. Does his talents transfer to the NFL? I don't know. Do I really want to do that if I'm not sure? Where you'd rather have, when and none of them are guarantees, but when you had a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, you're thinking, well, it's easier to go grab one of those guys than to say we're going to take a flyer on a guy.
But you're potentially in that Oregon Indiana game looking at 2 of the top 3-4 picks in the draft, because Dante Moore from Oregon is I'm just looking at 1 mock draft already, and they have him going number 2 to the Jets. So Mendoza number 1 and Dante Moore number 2. So it's worth watching. I mean, it should be fun. Lots of football this weekend.
There'll be lots of football this weekend, and I'll be watching. Always good to see you. You'll be back tomorrow
pleasure.
at 2 o'clock, right?
Or we're going to do Spread Swing.
1:30. Yeah,
come in at
1:30.
Playoff edition.
Yeah, playoff edition
All
of
right, I'll
Spread
come in a
Swing.
little early.
We'll see you at 1:30.
Thank you.
Deuce will join us as well. Teneby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. I thought you did a bang-up job as always. We enjoyed visiting with you today. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon, God willing. And stick around. Big Ticket, JG, they're next right here on the phone.
Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Minnesota!
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.